Good evening. This is part 2 of Chapter 3. We're going to talk about organizational culture. We have culture in our own lives, the places that we come from, our ethnicities, our religious backgrounds, etc., the way we dress, the way we eat, the way we interact. The same is true at work. It's how we get things done and how we do things. Organizational culture are the shared set of beliefs, expectations, values, and norms, and work routines that influence how individuals, groups, and teams interact with one another and cooperate to achieve organizational goals. Next slide. Organizational culture, slide 2 or 3. When organizational members share an intense commitment to cultural values, beliefs, and routines, a strong organizational culture exists. When members are not committed to a shared set of values, beliefs, and routines, organizational culture is weak. An example of organizational culture would be the IDEO product development in Silicon Valley. Employees are encouraged to adopt a playful attitude toward their work, look outside the organization to find inspiration, and adopt a flexible approach toward product design that uses multiple perspectives. Organizational culture, attraction, selection, attrition framework, a model that explains how personality may influence organizational culture. As a result of these attraction, selection, and attrition processes, people in the organization tend to have similar personalities, and the dominant personality profile of an organizational members shape organizational culture. Next slide, the role of values and norms in organizational culture. Terminal values, the end game, signify what an organization and its employees are trying to accomplish. Instrumental values guide how the organization and its members achieve organizational goals. The role of values continued, norms in the organizational culture, slide 2 of 3. Managers determine and shape organizational culture through the kinds of values and norms they promote in an organization. The role of values and norms in the organizational culture, figure 3.6. In the middle, we have the organizational culture surrounded by values of the founder, socialization, stories and language, ceremonies and rites, which we'll talk about in the subsequent slides. Socialization. Organizational socialization is a process by which newcomers, new employees learn an organization's values and norms and acquire the work behaviors necessary to perform jobs effectively. Ceremonies and rites. Formal events that recognize incidents of importance to the organization as a whole and to specific employees. The next slide, slide 204, table 3.1, has examples of organizational rites. For example, rites of integration will be an office Christmas party. Purpose of the rite is to build common norms and values. Rite of enhancement, presentation of an annual award. Purpose is to motivate commitment to norms and values. Slide 3 of 4, ceremonies and rites. Rites of passage determine how individuals enter, advance within, or leave the organization. Rites of integration, shared announcements of organizational success, build and reinforce common bonds among organizational members. Rites of enhancement, slide 4 of 4, lets organizations publicly recognize and reward employees' contributions and therefore strengthen their commitment to organizational values. Stories and language communicate organizational culture, reveal behaviors that are valued by the organization through various stories of customer service excellence, for example, includes how people dress, the office they occupy, the cars they drive, and the degree of formality they use when they address one another. An example would be at Zappos, when employees spent about 8 or 10 hours trying to help someone find a pair of shoes. That will definitely make it to the annals of history for Zappos. And of course, the next slide, you could actually watch it, is a video on Zappos. Please feel free to look at it. The next subsequent slides are all the appendices, which basically cover everything. Appendix 1 talks about the Big Five. Appendix 2 talks about figure 3.3 to measure job satisfaction. It gives you examples and explains what it is. And it jumps back to slide 19. Appendix 3, moods and emotions, goes through it in more detail. And that's the end of the lecture for tonight. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for listening to the class on Chapter 3. Thank you.